All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Podcast Hawaii. I'm here with Brianne Cremer, Train with Bree, and we're gonna talk about her becoming a professional athlete, moving to Europe, growing up in Maui. How you go from such a small island and small environment in Maui to professional athlete, and a bunch of other stuff. I know Bree from the gym. She trains my kids, and I learned that you're a pro. You played professional soccer,
Mhm.
grew up in Maui,
Mhm.
and for one, you do. I've told like we had a long conversation. You do phenomenally with the kids, and I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. And then it's interesting too because is soccer the biggest sport for Hawaii? You think?
In Hawaii, it wasn't before, but the past coming years, it's been a huge upcoming
Yeah,
sport. Yeah,
I feel. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I feel
you're
like
fine.
I don't know because I have nieces that play soccer. I feel like it just seems like it's the most popular sport in Hawaii.
I
Of
would
course,
say,
surfing is
yeah,
the ben I don't know
yeah.
the,
I
the
think,
most famous one that Hawaiians do, right? But
yeah, I think it's different because on Maui, it was like, I think it was one of the only sports you could really do, and then we would just travel to Oahu, and I think soccer is a bit different because anyone can play soccer.
yeah,
Like it doesn't matter height or weight, etc. Especially as a kid, like boys and girls play soccer. So
why do you think soccer is not as popular in America as it is elsewhere? Is it because there are other sports that compete strongly with it, or is it Americans just don't like soccer? Or
I think
why do you think it's more like it's life in Europe and Brazil and stuff, right?
mhm. I think America is so set on different types of sports. Like we
Football
excel in
and
football,
basketball.
baseball, basketball. There's soccer. I mean, the gender inequality in soccer itself kind of was a huge issue.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Americans were pissed about that, of, people kind of protesting about that in the women's.
The like a year or two ago kind of
Yeah,
protest.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been like a huge it's been a huge issue, and I think that's been the huge emphasis, and people don't like how political soccer became, and I think a lot of people in general kind of stepped away from watching soccer, but also a lot of
Yeah.
people were brought into watching it more because of it.
I learned about it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's kind of a little unfair. Um, I'm I'm not super woke,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it was when I learned about those issues in women's soccer, it was evident that they needed attention.
Hmm.
I think it's just it came at a time where there's so much hyper politicization and like a war between left and right
Hmm.
that the topic probably didn't get its fair like
Yeah.
independent moment,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
there's too much other shit around it.
Yeah. But
But yeah.
to like kind of go back to that question though about why isn't it as popular.
Hmm.
I don't know, just being away and living in Europe and kind of being in the environment that it's blossoming. I mean, there's academies for kids growing up there. So
Yeah.
some of my teammates were a part of academies. So,
What does that mean in academy? Because like here you have like Rush and Surf and
mhm,
Nemesis and all
yeah.
these soccer clubs, right?
Hmm.
Is that what an academy is in Europe, or is it something entirely different? Is it like a facility and
Hmm. Yeah. So there's huge clubs where I lived in Hungary. There's maybe 16 professional teams, and they're at the adult level where they're pro. So you can decide at 14 to become pro and sign with the team,
oh
and make money, and then you go until you retire. But from 14 and youth, they have academies where they actually will house kids, house them, do the whole schooling there, have practice in between
oh
classes, grow up in like that locker room environment. And then they have cafeterias, etc. And then they go to sleep there, and then they go home for weekends.
oh I
Yeah.
see. Oh yeah, so in Orlando
Hmm.
there's a place there's like a soccer like big sports school like that
Hmm.
in Orlando, right?
I believe it's IMG
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Academy.
My niece's like friend went
Hmm.
there, and
Yeah.
she was one of the better soccer players in Hawaii for her grade, and
Hmm.
she like boarded there for high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just high school. So there's opportunities like, um, from youth,
Yeah.
like all over Europe. So I think that's the huge difference is the funding into it. Maybe
Interesting. Do you watch basketball?
I do watch basketball.
Like Luka Doncic came into the league like
Hmm.
ready, but he had been playing pro since like 13.
Hmm.
Yeah, like Europeans the European leagues groom professionals differently because there's not this NCAA,
Yeah, rule. Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. Obviously, it seems like they produce better pros at a young age.
Hmm.
They don't in basketball. They don't have as many, but I bet you in soccer, Americans probably have a hard time going over there, right?
Well,
Because they haven't been playing pro since teens.
the thing is too, it's not common where you play multiple sports. You pretty much play one sport for your whole life.
Soccer, and that's it. Yeah.
There's soccer, there's handball is big.
Handball?
Handball.
There's professional handball players? Like they make money playing handball?
Yes, yeah. Volleyball is big. Hockey. I have met a few friends who played professional hockey in Hungary, and then the club that I played for, they had a track and field team. So, everyone kind of just like sticks to their own sport, and I think that's the one thing that divides us or Europeans from Americans.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to you were born and raised on Maui.
Or I was born here and raised on Maui.
Born here, raised on Maui. Okay.
Yeah.
Why your family roots are Maui, or
no,
your dad took a job? Or?
Yeah, my dad took a job on Maui, and then I moved there. Well, we moved there when I was 2, and then my brothers were born and raised there, and we just all happened to be living here now.
What side of Maui you guys live?
I first lived in Kihei, and then I lived in Wailuku, and then went to Baldwin High School.
Oh, okay. Did you feel, growing up on Maui, do you feel like bored or like there's not a lot to do, or you're like, no, I'm engulfed in soccer and I have friends and I didn't know the difference? Or...
Well, I was very fortunate to have a lot of friends outside of soccer as well.
Yeah.
And a huge group of soccer friends. So there's not really much to do other than just do activities sports and beach. That's it. So I wasn't exposed to any type of other life other than that. I mean, it's so different than living here. I think there's so many other things to do here. Even our malls, we didn't really hang out there.
Is there a mall in Maui?
There's
like one, like Wailuku area.
Yeah, Kahului. It's
Kahului,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I drove past it.
Yeah,
I remember Mahe. The other real estate agent we work with. Yeah, who's in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, that's like the one mall.
The one mall.
Yeah. It's outdoor, yeah.
Yeah. But that's about it, and then
so nothing to do.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we did was sports and then adventure, like hiking, like crazy hikes too, hiking, beach days.
Like 7 secret pools or falls or whatever.
There's this crazy hike that I've done. It's called Commando Hike. It was like 5 hours long. I did it in high school. And then you just kind of like free walk. Like there's no really a trail. You have to go with someone who's gone before.
Wow.
You hike up and climb up waterfalls. It's intense. It was my favorite hike, but
do people get rescued from that hike?
Yeah, actually one of my friends had to.
While you were on the hike?
Not while I was there, but he was like a track teammate, and it was
we'll leave their name out of it.
Yeah,
we'll leave their name out of it.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think if you grow up on Oahu, you are as focused on soccer?
No.
No. Because there'd be other things to get into.
Yeah, especially going from Maui and not doing anything other than, I don't know, hanging out with friends at houses and stuff, and then coming to college. I mean, everywhere you go to college, you're exposed to more of like the nightlife and everything. So, I mean, I think that exposure, especially to a city, it was so new to me. Like I came to Oahu and like stayed with my grandparents in Mililani, and like kind of went to his like a land he owned and like did gardening there. Like that was all I did with them. And then going and being exposed to more of the city, it was a huge change. And it's going out and casually just eating out with friends or getting a drink at happy hour, that was so new to me. So it's easier to get unfocused,
Yeah,
especially
Maui's night scene doesn't really exist.
no,
Yeah.
no, not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So yeah.
And then how do you choose? Well, how's high school soccer on Maui? Because there's only 2 high schools, 3 high schools on all of Maui, right?
There's about 6.
Oh, is there? I know
Yeah.
Baldwin, Lahaina
Maui
Luna,
Maui
like
High
love to
School,
them. Maui High School. Those are
Kinke
the three.
Kalike, Kamehameha.
Oh, Cam
Um,
has a school there.
yeah, and Seabury Hall.
Oh, we're going private now.
Yeah,
That's why. Okay, okay.
yeah, it's
So
St.
not without
Anthony.
Cam and Seabury, like public schools.
Oh yeah, Baldwin High School and
There's
Maui
what?
High.
What's the one up country?
Oh, Kinke Kalike.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Probably like 3 public schools. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't even know now. I haven't even really been home in about like 10 years. So I don't know
Oh,
if
really?
there's like new schools or
Are you guys
anything.
so in high school on Maui? If you're like, are those teams flying to Oahu to
Yeah.
compete a lot?
Yes. So we
Oh.
did like our preseason there, states, of course. And then we had, if you flew up for club, you would go there. So I used to guest play a lot in the summers. And
What's guest play?
so
like you like Rush or Surf like recruit you to play for a game or a tournament?
yeah, so I used to just fly up for weekends or the summer to play for a club. So I used to play on Kauai. It's like a
Cheaters, Kauai.
yeah,
Cheaters.
it's so common though with
Yeah.
Maui kids because there wasn't enough teams on Maui. I mean, there was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2 big clubs on Maui, and you would just fundraise to go there. But if everyone couldn't do it, then your whole team couldn't go. So I was very lucky. I had grandparents who lived here, so I stayed with them.
Yeah.
They would take me to practice, and then
Yeah.
I would play here.
And then did your team like win the Maui? Like
Yeah.
In your years, were you guys winning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like always between like 4 really good teams on Maui because that's as much as we could
That's all there
make.
is, yeah.
But my team was really small. It was XL Soccer Club, and we had maybe 12 really committed girls. Then we had a lot of playing time,
Yeah.
and half of them they did go and play in college. And they were all standouts in high school. So we had a good team. We came here. We won. We did win a tournament, like at the one of the only tournaments we came here, and we won it first place. But that was when I was like 13.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to high school after that. So I mean, I haven't played with that club. Oh my gosh, so long.
And forever. What made you go to HPU?
Oh,
HPU, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, in high school, I got burnt out from soccer after playing. Yeah, I mean, I was very good at soccer, and I got a lot of awards playing soccer, and I was very burnt out. I didn't play club. And then I did track and field. I love track and field.
Mhm.
And then I realized how much I did miss soccer. And then it just the feeling of playing soccer because I was good at it. And
Yeah.
then I just reached out to one of my old teammates who played at HPU, and I was like, hey, I'm going for a tournament this weekend by chance. Like, would your coach be able to like do a tryout or something? I don't know how it works because back
This is like your senior year?
my senior
You're
year.
gonna be over there.
Yeah.
Could I meet the coach, try out
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah. And it was so
Why?
last
Because
minute.
you went from track to back to soccer in your senior year? You took like junior year off, or how'd that?
No, I played all 4 years. It
Oh.
was track season, so we
Oh,
finished.
so you just took a break from like the club
Yeah.
extra playing.
Yeah, because you had to choose either club soccer then or track.
Mm.
So, I was like, I'm so burnt out from soccer. I don't have any like schools I'm committed to, so I'm just gonna do track. And
Yeah.
then I back then the process of college wasn't so easy. It was more like we didn't have these huge ID camps or anything. It was more like
What's an
after.
ID camp?
So
Like a NFL combine?
yeah, kind of. And there's like showcases where you fly up with your club or independently to like this showcase event where there's hundreds of college coaches where they could watch you play for like 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Your skills. I went to one right after I graduated high school as just
Yeah.
because I was the first one ever on Maui. It was I think it was Valley Isle Soccer Academy.
So you didn't have other college or university offers?
Well, I'm like first gen when it comes to like going to traditional college. So
Yeah.
and playing sports past high school. So I think it was there wasn't a lot of guidance in that field just for school. So I always was intended to go to college, to go to school, but
Yeah.
the soccer part I knew I wanted to do, but there wasn't much guidance even with my club
Oh.
or high school, like
Yeah.
with pursuing college sports. So it was
You
very
didn't have like a
unfortunate.
mentor to bridge those two
No,
things.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
We had like this one company I reached out to kind of like create a highlight video and then like use that to get and reach out to colleges. Back then it was like kind of expensive, but also my school didn't create film, so
Oh.
we didn't. I
It's
didn't
not
have
like you had
film.
YNI high schools. Like they're known to have a good media department.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, you
have.
didn't have that.
No, so um, I mean, I just reached out and then my grandparents took me to my trial. I was like, hi. I mean, I didn't say hi. I was like, hey, by the
Hi, I'm
way,
Bree.
hi, I'm Bria.
Play soccer.
Yeah, I was like, I asked them, I was like, hey, by the way, could you please bring me to like this college tryout?
Yeah.
And my grandparents knew nothing about college sports either, but I showed up one day and it was a good enough tryout where they're like, okay, we're gonna take a chance with you. Just know like you're the last person committed to
This is HPU?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So Coach Gina Brewer, I mean, that was who was took me in. And
Did you end up starting for HPU though?
my first year I redshirted because I was the last committed and there was like 38 girls on the team.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So or
What's
not
that mean,
38, sorry.
redshirted?
So I took a year to kind of just like learn and decide like if I don't know, it was just like a year where you don't play any games, like that from the start.
You're
and
like
then
kind of like
a practice player.
squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really hard mentally because
you're used to winning. You're used to being the
it was
one.
hard. Yeah. But I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I didn't prepare myself to go to college anyways. So, but I also did decide to like settle for HPU because I stayed with my grandparents and stuff. Well, not settle, it was a great opportunity, but I stayed there just to live with my grandparents and be with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you could have redshirted in a bigger university somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Pursued some. Yeah. Could have done that somewhere else too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after your first year, did you end up starting?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for all 4 years after that. Even like the freshman spring. So after the redshirt fall, the springtime, I was able to like play and I started every
So you were
game.
cooking people in practice.
No, I wouldn't say that.
She's Bree's humble.
I wouldn't
She's
say
cooking
that.
people.
No, I would say that my fitness was a huge advantage to me and my aggressiveness.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times where like, I am smaller than other people, but people like coaches will say that's my one advantage. They're just surprised how aggressive I am and how fit I am. So
yeah.
always led the pack with fitness after freshman year, after getting used to that system. But yeah.
Okay. Hey, aloha, everyone. This is Derek Okahashi, host of Podcast Hawaii. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show. I have two things to ask. Whether you're listening to this on a streaming platform or on YouTube, please go comment and follow and do all the things to gas us up and keep us going. And in that comment, let me know who you'd like for me to have a conversation with next. Is there an interesting university professor, someone who owns a business, a controversial person, a politician? Whoever you want to see on this show, please let me know in the comment section of whatever platform you're on. Also, I am a real estate agent and a real estate team leader. My small team, Core Team Hawaii, is one of the top real estate teams in all of Hawaii. So if you have anything in real estate, if you have any need at all in real estate, please think of Core Team Hawaii first. Go to coreteamhawaii.com. The link will be in the description of all of these shows moving forward. Book a call with me. Let's get you taken care of in real estate. Back to the show.
Yeah.
I don't know soccer really good. Were you like the middle center fielder? That's like the quarterback?
No, I was a left or right midfielder before, and then in college I played left defender. So I was a part of a 4-back.
Okay.
So I was an outside defender, and then when I played overseas, I was a midfielder and defender. And then this past season in Portugal, it was like there wasn't that many great players, so I had to play like the center mid and just kind of just powerhouse through everything. But we had selected good players on the team, so my last season I had to play a different position, but it was good because I got the freedom to kind of just be that
you.
quarterback, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point in university are you thinking, like, did you finish your senior year and you already had an offer from a pro club in Europe, or how's that work?
So my senior year, I had a offer to play in Scotland, but it was more of a master's program and play in the Scottish Premier Second League.
Getting your master's degree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, so they're like giving you scholarships to not play NCAA, but to play pro?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
So it's in England, they do master program / playing. So you can play like masters and play in their league. And then they also play in their pro league as well. So it's like two different things. But I did get an offer to do that. And I turned it down. I was in contact with the coach and everything. They wanted to give me a scholarship.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready yet.
What weren't you ready for? You weren't ready to leave Hawaii and to leave your comfort, or you weren't ready to take on like professional athlete life, or both?
I felt like I was just starting my life.
Mm-hmm.
And to move away right away was something that wasn't like ideal for me at the moment. Yeah. And then at that time too, like a few months later, I got an opportunity to try out for a team in Australia, their second division.
Oh, yeah.
It was called Kapabala Bulldogs. I was in contact with the coach as well, but I didn't have an agent at the time, so I was talking to these people. Just myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was right, what was wrong, etc. But right after college, I got a job in behavioral health, and I was happy with doing what I was doing, like in the moment.
Oh, so you did that before going to play professionally?
Mm-hmm.
You had like a gap year or two?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I had a gap year where I was working for a year.
Okay.
But I was training by myself like every day, and then I just went onto the military bases and kind of just like played with really intense men, and just kind of
Wait, why the military? Who has a military ID?
I was married before.
Oh, yeah?
I was. And I don't talk about that a lot, but
we won't talk about that. Well, you had an ID then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had an ID, so I had access, and very fortunate.
These young, fit, junior enlisted people and playing soccer.
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't also ready to leave, because I felt like I was starting my life and everything. But But after that year, I submitted a video to one of this agents who just reached out to my college, and it seemed like a scam. But my coach was like, just talk to them. It's an agent from Hungary. Don't give them any money, but just speak to them.
Well, you would give them money?
If you work with an agent.
Oh, I see.
So they're an agency.
Oh, I see.
But they submitted my video, and the week later they were like, "Oh, this team likes your video, but they want to see you try out in person. Are you able to fly out next week to Hungary before the signing period?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how it worked out. And I flew up to Hungary in 1 year after I graduated, and then kind of less than that, I would say like 8 months after. And then, they wanted to sign me right away, but I said I didn't pack everything for me to move here.
Yeah.
And they were so confused because that's how it works. You go, and then you sign, and then you stay.
Oh, but you didn't know that?
No, I was so new to everything.
But then you have an agent at this point?
They were a new agent just starting, and they that was the first person they ever worked with.
See?
Yeah.
We're sponsored by me and my real estate company. Don't get a new agent. New agent mess you up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I ended up just signing with them the following signing period, and then moved to Hungary. Okay. Yeah.
You couldn't just buy some jackets and some Uggs there and just stay?
I know. I wish, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I was ready to move
ready,
yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So how being a professional athlete there, is it when you're playing for a pro team in Hungary and in Portugal and is it like in England, or I don't know much about soccer, but I've watched some ridiculous movies, have you ever heard of Green Street Hooligans?
No.
It's about like soccer gangs,
Oh, okay.
and they're like Manchester,
Oh,
Chelsea, and
yeah.
people are fanatical, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
like that in the other European countries too? It's like super intense,
Yeah.
chanting, fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Hungary, it was like that. I mean, they have the huge stadiums and everything. It's and soccer is so glorified there. So
It's like the number one sport, right?
yeah. So I mean, it was intense like that. I mean, we had fans and everything. There was some crazy fans too.
Yeah.
I mean, my first club I ever went with was like the biggest club that I like played on. So they played in Champions League, and a bunch of my teammates played for their national teams as well. So
Yeah.
the first club that I ever went with was it was a great experience because I got to experience like one of the top teams in Hungary.
Yeah.
And in Eastern.
If they're playing for their national team, they must be. I mean, that's the best in the country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a great experience, and I learned so much. And it really humbles you to go from like college soccer to this top team. I mean, it was a growing experience for me as well. I mean, those fans, they scream in a different language and everything. I mean, it's pretty intense. Yeah. So it is like that. I mean, it's not as big as like in England or here in America still, but
still intense.
Yeah, it was really intense. The lifestyle too, like all you do is soccer.
Yeah, how is that? I mean, I think about professional. I follow basketball more than anything.
Yeah.
And they have a short off season, whereas like football has a short season.
Yeah.
Right, a big long off season, right? But how is it playing? Like, do you have like you have to weight train this much? You have to do this much running, and you have to practice twice a day, 5 days a week. It's all contractual, or like how is it being a pro athlete in Europe for a soccer team?
So it just depends. When I was at that club, we had 2 different coaches. For one season, well, all seasons you go up in July.
Okay.
And you train every day and maybe get 1 day a week off, like until December. And then you have 3 weeks off, and then you start up again in January. And then you go all the way until May. And then you have May till July off. So maybe like 7 weeks or something.
Okay.
And then that's kind of like the routine you're in. But you're nonstop training. Every day.
What's a day? What's a week? Or like what's a Monday? What's a Wednesday look like?
So you have practice every day.
Yeah.
Preseason, we would actually go to a resort or this place that hosts. I don't know. It's like we stayed at like this retreat, let's say, and every day you practice twice a day, and do all your testing like baseline, intense stuff. For 1 week, you stay at this resort.
What's testing? Like test your mile, test your 40-yard.
It was like
40 meters or.
Beep test. It was I forgot what type of beep test we did, but it was anyways, it was a type of beep test. You did that. You did
What's a beep test?
Oh, so it's like no, it's fine.
I'm ignorant to this stuff. No. You gotta teach me.
Yeah, so it's like 40 yards apart. So there's 20 yards and then 20 yards. So I'm not too sure which system this was. I forgot. It was like in Hungarian, but it's
like run and touch something, and then run and touch something.
So you have zones. So it goes like beep, and then it's like speed point or speed 7.5, blah blah blah, and you run and it beeps to get in the middle. Then it's like beep beep beep, and you have to get to the middle, and then it says 10 seconds rest, speed increase to 8.0, and then it goes like. And and it says start, and it goes beep, that's halfway, and it goes beep, 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 and you have to get there at that time.
Okay.
So it increases. So we went up to like speed 22 or something, and then after it's like intense. So
speed and agility.
So
intense things.
Yeah, you could go up to the last person. So we're basically running. You could last like 10 minutes or longer than that. Then we tested for speed and agility. So like kind of like an obstacle course you have to run through as fast as you can.
Okay.
We
did
strength stuff we did in season lifting.
Yeah.
So we for preseason as well, like after the retreat, we would go back home, and then we would train in the morning time, and that's kind of like your hard practice.
Yeah.
So you would do like running and everything first, running, soccer drills nonstop, and then you would come back in the day, and then sometimes it was at field, so we would do like weight training at the fields because we had a gym there, and then we would do like recovery stuff, or we would do fitness. My club, we had a field, and we also had like an academy where our stadium was, so
Yeah.
3 different points. But one place we had like a video area that we did, so we did video stuff, and then we would do weight training. So we had a gym facility, so we did weight training like 3 times a week. But after weight training, that's an hour, and then you would go to the field and you would do another like hour and a half of playing. So you did that like 3 times a week, and then you would practice every day though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you getting like noticed in the streets, like, hey, you play soccer?
If I was wearing my like logo or something,
Then
like our
they
practice stuff.
associate
Yeah.
And do they speak English if they notice you, or are they speaking in Hungarian or?
Well, I actually like learned a lot of Hungarian, and I was able to like speak.
Oh, you can converse in Hungarian?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
can. It's not the best. I mean, I probably not now, but at the moment I even was able to like translate for my teammates. But
oh wow.
But yeah, I was able to get by. So if someone was speaking to me in Hungarian, I could speak back.
Oh.
But also a lot of people speak English in the city there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So I was born on the mainland, and I came to Hawaii. I started visiting when I was 9. I stayed when I was 12, and so I was never limited to the perspective of just like born and raised in Ava and never left, or born and raised in Mililani and never left. So
yeah,
I had, I want to say a worldly view, but I had a broader view.
Yeah.
And then, but even still, I wanted to, I'm trying to say it, I don't want to be offensive, but I wanted to like shrink to Hawaii because I wanted so bad. I was like, bro, my dad was like a Waikiki beach boy. He's raised in town, and I came here young enough. Like, I'm local, like I had that chip on my shoulder. And so I wanted, like, Hawaii was my whole world.
Yeah.
So then when I left for the Coast Guard, I didn't want to. I just wasn't doing anything with my life.
Yeah.
So I turned 22 in boot camp, get stationed back in Florida where I was born. So not a lot of change there, but I went to a few places, lived in California for a while, and living in California really like changed my whole life because it was a whole different thing than anything I'd ever been used to. And it was in San Francisco Bay Area, and especially growing up through my mid-20s to like mid-30s, early 30s there, it seemed important to me that people leave home, whether that be Hawaii or Tuscaloosa or something. It was probably good to leave. But I think uniquely so in Hawaii, it can be healthy to leave. Did you feel like that changed you as a person living in Europe, getting a different view?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because in Hawaii, people are like, the kind, messing with the kind's chick, or the kind got a new Tacoma, or bro, those guys can scrap with those guys. Like, it's still at 1920. Those are the conversations a lot of people are having, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to Europe, or for me, I joined the Coast Guard. It removed me from this small environment. Like, I remember our first 10-year reunion in the Facebook group. There were people going, bro, F1, we go Vegas. And then the Filipino girls that did the yearbook, they were the people doing the reunion too.
Yeah.
And so they're like, not everyone can go to Vegas, so we're considering just, keeping it home.
Yeah.
And then people are like, fuck the losers. If they kind of go Vegas, fuck them. And I'm like, bruh, is this how we're still acting? Like,
yeah,
at 28 years old, and then, again at 38. And so I just needed to leave. And it was good for me. It made me a better person to leave home and come back as an adult. Did you feel, would you be as better off as a well-rounded human? Did you not leave? Because you went HPU to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
But then you go to like Europe instead of just like going to somewhere in California. You go all the way to Europe. So like, what was that like? As just as a person outside of soccer.
You know, since I don't know why, but something inside me. So when I was younger, I've always said, I'm going to be a professional soccer player in Europe. And I don't, yes, I have that like written down, like from elementary school, middle school, and high school. And I don't know why, because I wasn't exposed to that environment, especially on Maui. I mean, I did have a coach. I had great coaches growing up. So I did have a coach from England who coached us, and then
full on English accent.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. So cool. I had really good coaches growing up, which I was very fortunate about. And then but I don't know why I had the influence. I think I just loved Messi so much, like the soccer player.
That's your goal?
So I've always wanted to play in Spain. That was like my end goal, and I was actually really close to doing that. But that was kind of like my dream, was to be a doctor and then to play pro soccer. Like that was
doctor first,
a pro soccer and then be a doctor.
And then go be a doctor.
Yes, for manifesting all of that. No,
you still can.
I know.
Yeah,
a lot of life decisions, but no, that was just my thing I've always wanted to do, and I think that's why I wasn't so focused on what I was going to do for college, and that's like on me, like not my parents really, like. That was on me. I was so sad. I remember telling my mom, like, I don't want to go to college. I just want to play soccer professionally. But there were no programs to do that, like, right off the bat from high school, especially for Maui.
Yeah.
But when I went to HPU, I did feel like it did make me feel like I just settled to be in Hawaii. But I was very happy to be living with my grandparents, because I don't regret spending any of the time with them.
Of course. Yeah.
So, I didn't even want to like leave them during school. So, but there was always a part of me where I felt like I was settling.
I see,
And then, I even had like relationships like with people from Maui, and it was always talks about like just quit college and just live on Maui, or
just come home and
just come
get
home.
A job and
or it's just like I'm gonna, right after you graduate, I'm gonna build us a home. Oh my God. Sorry to at you, but no, I mean,
people trying to build Bree whole houses,
trying to settle me down. No, that freaked me out more than anything. There's something inside me where I was just like, I don't want
to be domesticated.
Yeah, or it just seems so stable. But now I'm like, oh, I want stability.
So stable, yeah.
But I was 21 and I was younger than that, and that freaked me out. I mean, I ended up leaving him, but I don't also want to like speak down onto people back home, but a lot of the people I know from back home haven't even left the islands.
Sure.
And I want that for everyone.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I said I tried to word it in a way to say like it would be a good thing for many. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I also have family that they never want to leave home. They never have. And they're content, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I know there's some people who, fight traffic on the H1, punch in for their 9 to 5, their 8 to 6 or whatever, and then kind of hate it. And there's probably something out there for them to just explore.
Yeah.
But I would say like, just like, royalty did in the past, like leave and bring it back. It doesn't mean leave forever. It doesn't mean sell out and just, move to Vegas or Seattle or like, you can leave, grow, and bring that back, I like to think that's what I did. But so for you going to Europe, like how did it change you?
Oh, it changed me so much. I mean, I had a different perspective on life. I mean, that's so broad, but I really got into the life of, I would go up there and feel so stressed out about not doing anything in the day, like just going to practice. Like it wasn't being bored. It was just like, I feel like I just came from like a 9 to 5 job, and I felt like sitting at home or sleeping in and
like
stuff.
Recovery wasn't productive.
Yeah. Like it wasn't productive. So I'd find things to make me be productive, and there was nothing to do other than focus on like soccer. I was getting paid to do and housed from what I was doing.
Yeah.
But, and there was nothing else for me to do other than just be an athlete, and that was my job.
Did the European girls have more of like a siesta mindset? Like, yeah, we practice. Now we're gonna go take a nap. Like, it's no big deal. Is that what you're alluding to? Or?
Yeah. Or like we'll go to practice. Oh, and then let's go to the bar after, and then
Really?
like just not even to like drink, but to hang out.
Yeah,
you know. And I'm just like, I've never had this type of like lifestyle before. It was like college.
Well, people would think Hawaii, like people away from Hawaii listening to this, they would think, but I thought in Hawaii you guys kind of chill, like you just relax and.
It's such a hustle culture here because of the cost of living
to
here.
make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say to make it is so expensive. We have a hustle culture, and then also sports, because we have the weather that is conducive to just playing sports year round.
Yeah.
We actually are super intense, kind of like a southern, like in the South, they're Texas football kind of culture.
Yeah.
Like we can be like that with soccer. Like I saw my nieces who play club soccer, and I was like, bro, that's your whole life.
It's your whole life, yeah.
And there's no like weather permits here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also.
They slowed you down. Or not slowed you down, but they taught you how to like take a pause and enjoy life.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting that a Hawaiian has to go to Europe to learn that.
Yeah, I mean, during college, we actually went to Spain. We stayed at in the summer, like with my HPU team, we went and played. We stayed in Spain at this like this resort where professional teams stay at, and then we got
like
fed.
Disney's sports world.
Yeah. So we stayed there. We had a field outside. We had professional coaches coach us. Like we also got fed like in these 4-course meals. How it's normal for athletes to like live in and do. And then we like explored the city. I mean, and learned so much about the culture. Like you don't wake up until maybe like 10, then you go to work, and then you go back home, and then you don't eat dinner until like 10. But it's just like your lifestyle is just a little different there.
Interesting.
Everyone walks everywhere. I mean, it is common to have a car, but you're mainly just taking public transportation or just walking.
Well, it's more densely populated, right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's not like country. There's not like
Oh, yeah. Well, it just depends what area you go to and stuff. But
I'm at, because people, when I lived in California, there's this like, in the cities, there can be this like anti-American culture. And it's not the same as like Hawaiians, scarred by the past, but like just like more of a lean towards socialism and European customs. Instead of like in Europe, not everyone's driving a F-150 truck, and in Europe. But part of that has to do with these cities are like densely populated pockets, like also in Chicago and in New York and in San Francisco, and like in those cities there's better public transportation too, because it makes sense when there's a ton of humans. So they'd be like, in London, I'm like, well, yeah, you can't compare London and like the middle of nowhere Texas. Like those aren't the same things, But yeah, so for me, just living in a big city was interesting, but I never did it in Europe.
Yeah. I would say it's pretty similar. I mean, I go to San Francisco pretty often, and I mean, I went into the city.
To the Bay, right?
So I mean, being in the city though, it does remind me of like living in Europe. I mean, it's so modern. You'd think Eastern Europe is like this old town thing, but no, it's so modern there. Really? I never felt unsafe. I would be walking in the streets at like midnight sometimes, or going home at like 3, and me and my friends are walking home, and it feels safe. But the thing
Isn't that where Andrew Tate is? Hungary? Is that where he is?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway.
But Spider-Man was filmed there. So.
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How's
and Black
food?
Widow. Good. It's pretty modern.
Did they have rice?
Yeah. They have rice there.
Like they eat rice as like a normal staple of their.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't feel like I never felt homesick other than being away from family.
Really?
Yeah.
The customs, like, so like just between Hawaii and the mainland, like we see it here. We see like young military guys and young Hawaiian guys and local guys, and they fight, and I look at it because I'm from both, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't understand him, and he doesn't understand. They don't understand each other, and so the other person thinks the other person is rude. So like, for example, the Hawaii like Asian influence of like, oh
Yeah.
no, you drink, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like I'm doing that. You're supposed to say no, and you're
Mhm.
supposed to give it back to me,
Mhm.
and that's just the trade. That's the custom, like.
Mhm.
No, are you sure? Are you sure? No, okay, I can feel better. I offered.
Mhm.
You can feel better. Okay, he offered, but I was able to tell him no,
Mhm.
that I'll pay or whatever.
Mhm.
A person from Boston might see that as just passive aggressive and two
Yeah.
faced.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you trying to get at, bro? Just say what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But then the Hawaii guy might be like, bro, you never even offered to pay. Like, I know I said I was gonna pay, but you're still supposed to offer.
Mhm.
Like, how rude are you?
Mhm.
And they don't understand each other. You didn't get any of that in Hungary, like people
Yeah.
stare and you're like, bro, why are you staring at me? Or
You know what? Like, I've got this like people in Hungary or my teammates or Portugal. They would always say that they'd always bonded with me a little more, just because of, I guess my culture being in
Yeah.
Hawaii is more. It's just like more family oriented and I guess more laid back than someone who would be on the East Coast, I guess.
Yeah.
Haven't been much exposed to a lot of like the East Coast, but that's just the feedback that I've gotten like living away. But when I would go to Europe, I mean, it's the same type of thing. Like my friends would be like, oh, I'll pay for your drink, or like, I got this, blah, 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 blah. It's not like, oh, Venmo me later,
Oh yeah.
So I got so used to being in Europe and then just being with friends and like, I got this, or I got it this time.
So
or
wasn't that different than Hawaii? In terms of
no,
how the humans
but I would come back
interacted?
home and everyone's like, oh, Venmo me this, Venmo me that.
More so here?
Yeah, so I kind of,
Oh,
and I don't
interesting.
know if it's the way that we're adapting a little more with the hustle culture being so like high up, like, and I don't blame anyone, like people, yeah, I'll Venmo you back, whatever, it's fine. But like,
Yeah.
but I got so used to how it was there because I guess the cost of living in Hungary was way lower, so
people were
everything
chilling.
was a lot more affordable.
How was the taxes? You have to pay Hungary taxes?
Yeah, it was like a certain percentage, but
Nothing. You don't really pay attention to.
no,
it.
I didn't pay attention.
You
Yeah,
weren't adulting like that.
no,
at that
my
time.
coaches or the agents and all that took care of like everything. So
Yeah.
very like such a privilege to have, and so
You just
grateful
focus
for
on
it.
soccer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we got paid, and then we just would use it on like whatever we needed. So
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about like rent or like all that stuff, so it was just worrying
Yeah.
about myself, and that was also how my teammates were. So maybe just the environment I was living in, like.
No, well, I think you're so, you have like so much aloha and you're not confrontational, and so some of those things that I see or notice, you luckily are,
Yeah,
good for you. You don't really care.
maybe I just don't
it.
get mad easily. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I also think that's where it came from, just being exposed to like different type of people, and
Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced a lot of downs living away too. So, like, don't get me wrong. Like in Portugal, I would get stared at a lot.
Yeah.
I would have thought that being in Portugal.
I would think there they wouldn't as much because they're like olive skinned.
Yeah, I mean, not really stared at, but because I was American, I think there are some places where you would go and they're like, oh, you're American, you're so privileged and all this stuff. So,
but did you pull out the Hawaiian card?
When I would say I was from Hawaii, they would be so like amazed.
It's different,
yeah.
They'd
So
be
it's
like, oh,
different.
okay.
Yeah, so I was very lucky. I could just be like, oh yeah, I'm from Hawaii or something like that. And but no, I mean, it was just different interactions from other people too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the best situation like everywhere. Like if I went to Hungary, don't get it wrong, like there was some issues other than just like, oh, happy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like my friends who came from America and were colored, they would get like a lot of backlash from that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or even there was some times where because I was Asian, there was like some comments made too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't always like fun and rainbows and butterflies, but it did experience like all that. But I would say the friends that I had like in the environment, like they just made it so much better for me.
Yeah. What was the hardest thing, either like a singular thing that happened or the hardest, most challenging thing about the whole thing being in Europe?
Personally, because I was going through I went through a lot of hard things being away. Like my grandpa passed during COVID. It was very sudden.
Yeah.
And my first year, my grandpa passed away, and then I got really sick one time. Like I was bedridden for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And it was hard to take care of myself while being sick. Like I had a roommate, but she had responsibilities, of course. So I was like bedridden for 2 weeks my first season, and then to recover from it, it was like 3 months. I'm pretty sure I had like COVID maybe, but I couldn't even leave the bed to get tested.
Yeah.
And then my second year, when I went back to Europe to play, I was going through like a divorce that was thrown to me, like moving away and then just kind of getting ghosted and getting it thrown at me. I mean, there were so many situations before that, prior, but that was one thing that I had to go through, and kind of dealing with that on my own. During that period too, because I was going through stress, I got almost stress fractures in both my shins. So I tore both my shin muscles, and I was out for like 4 months.
Your tibialis?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I met anyone who's torn their tibialis.
No. I played on it. It was like shin splints. So they treated it like shin splints.
Yeah.
But because I was going through a lot of stress, my coach actually pointed that out and was like, you're not recovering because of the amount of stress you're going through, like blah, blah, blah. We got an ultrasound on my shins, and they were like micro tears all over.
Interesting.
And a full tear on one side. So I was like, I couldn't even, they're like, you need to just not walk for 10 days. And then the recovery on that was like 4 months.
Does that happen in soccer, tibialis tear?
Or
not even?
I would say like shin splints are common, but
yeah,
no,
sure.
I mean, they didn't even know how to treat it because
they're just not a thing. Yeah.
No. So I mean, when a physical therapist saw my leg and was like, wow, I can't even touch it, but it's like red and it's heating and it's so full with blood. Like you can tell because it was so red.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was in and out of the more sports medicine room. And then I also, like, my coach was so awesome. He let me see the sports psychologist there for 6 months because I was just not in a good place, Yeah,
I mean, to go like think about like Klay Thompson. He tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
So you go from on top of the world, you're a professional athlete, and then you can't walk for weeks, or you can't. And at that, you have so much energy and like a fitness level at that point to then not expend it.
Yeah.
That's like got to be hormonally and chemically bad for someone,
Yeah. No, it was so out of my control that I wasn't used to anything like that before. And I got so depressed being away from home. Like, why am I here? Not even practicing, not even doing what I need to do. I'm just sitting in a country like that's halfway across the world.
So then you feel isolated.
I felt
you're not in the routine. You're not experiencing the camaraderie in the same way.
Yes, like I would go to practices and just sit there, or it wasn't mandatory for me to go, so I would just stay home sometimes. But it was hard for a while. Yeah. And then by the time I was like healed, the season was over, and then I switched teams. But when I went to a different team, I like was able to be myself again. But it did take like 6 months for me to like recover and kind of gain that strength back again. Yeah.
Well, and so now you are a trainer.
I am a trainer.
You're a trainer, and you eventually, you'll do more.
Yeah.
Not that you're not doing important things now, but eventually you have other goals, right?
Yeah.
But you do amazing with kids. And so when I had my kids train with you, I saw you in the gym. You were training Angel.
Yeah.
Who, shout outs to Angel. He just won his tournament. I don't know if he had a fight or a tournament.
Yeah,
or whatever,
his fight. Yeah.
And you were training him, and I was like, oh, she looks like she does really good with him. And then the other thing, speaking of like culture differences and assholes, there was a guy who was
my gosh, shout out to you, man.
There was this guy, this like military guy. Yeah. She was training this kid, obviously using a certain part, and she's a trainer. And then the guy just like lays in the middle of where they are doing crunches. And then she's like, could you move? And he's like, moves like an inch or something.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I'm sitting there with Aiden, and I'm like, should I go over there and tell that guy to freaking move? Like, like, should I go move that guy? And then anyways, like a few weeks later, I was like, hey, train my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do amazing with them because my kids are really different.
Yeah.
One is, they both have their strengths and weaknesses around psychology and the physical nature of it. Right? Like one of them can kind of be like, yeah, do what you tell me, but also can be like, I'm not doing anything you tell me, you know? And then the other one is just kind of maybe doesn't believe in himself as much or just isn't as intense about it. So it takes the mental game with them has to be more important than even the physical, right? To get kids to play and jump and run. Yeah. So you do an amazing job with that. And I think that has to do with who you are personally, but also your behavioral health background. So why do you do training now? Like what do you like about it? Like, do you want to, I know you tend to train a lot of kids, but those aren't the only people you train, right?
No, I mean, so kind of the reason why I do it is because, well, fitness has always been like a passion to me and it comes so naturally, you know, but I think the mental side of it all is what the reason why I'm kind of training people. I noticed while working with kids, I loved training people outside, like soccer. I was doing that for a while, but the main focus that it would always end up being was my kid is struggling through the mental aspect of the sport. Could you please speak to them about it? So some of my trainings would just be like sit downs with the girls or the boys and just talking about like what's going on, like, you know.
How much of that is training the parent?
But talking to parents and stuff.
Training the parent, yeah. You know, like when people go to train their dogs, the dog trainer is always like, the dog is a dog. I gotta train the human. Yeah. So and parents, I try. I might have done it even with you, but I might have been opposite of what I try to be. But I try to, you know, he's a kid. We're not going pro here. Like let him have fun. But parents, especially in these club sports, they're intense. Like they want their kid to be Kobe, Michael, Messi, and not every kid can be that. And parents are intense. So how much of that is you acknowledging the kid, giving them a safe space, but then guiding the parent to like chill the fuck out?
A lot. Oh my gosh. I build a lot of rapport with the parents as well, so direct communication with them, but also having a safe space for the kids. So a lot of the things that we talk about with the kids is in confidence until it's to a point where like I need to speak to the parent about something. But also like I mean, I never withhold like any information from the parents, like and the kids, but but I've always speak to the parents because they tend to ask me, tend to seek me for training because they're like, I'm at the point where I can't train my kid anymore. They don't respond to me. They're not receptive. And I'm like, that's probably like one of the main reasons why parents come to me. And
I mean, that was me with Duke. Duke don't want to listen to me. And it was me. I stopped coaching. And this is all my fault. I stopped coaching because it was damaging our relationship. And then they asked me to come back. And I was like, okay, well, I'll coach, but like, keep me away from my kid. Like, let him be a kid with the coaches, and I'll help the other kids. And he's just not intense and, like, competitive the way. Like, and a lot of that probably comes from childhood trauma or like expectations, whatever. But I was competitive, you know. I wanted to compete. I wanted to finish on my spelling test before you in third grade, you know. He doesn't have that. And so when we're in like a game and he's not nearly injuring himself to like win, I'm like, what are you doing? And so, you know, I think I acknowledge that. When parents are like, he just doesn't want it. It's like, well, yeah, because he doesn't want it. Or you want that, parent. You know? You're the one who wants your child to be a pro soccer player. Your child doesn't like soccer or whatever, right?
I've had so many like talks with kids and parents separately. You know, kids coming to my trainings and like you could tell they don't want to be there. So immediately I stop and I just ask them, I'm like, are you here because you want to be here or is it because you're parents? And then they'll be like, no, I want to be here. And I'm like, you don't have to lie to me. Like, if this is what your parents want you to do, your parents are paying a lot of money for this. So, it's not, it's like, I don't want to waste your parents' time as well as mine. And, this is your decision. Just know that you have that option to tell me if this is what you want or not.
Is this more like a soccer focused training, or is this just in the gym in general?
Soccer mainly.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that every kid I train in the gym is because they wanted to. Yeah. They've told their parents, like, I want to train with Coach Bree in there, or like, Coach Bree, how do I train with you there? Yeah. So I've never like had to reach out.
Not my son. I made him.
Yeah, I know. I was like, dude, do you want to be here? Yeah, I like it. And I'm like, okay, so.
Yeah.
But
now he does though.
Yeah. Before it was.
He needs a nudge.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've had that conversation with a lot of my kids working with, like, I just want them to know that they have a choice to do this extra training, like, and most of the time they do come back. So.
Well, my wife was an elementary school teacher. I guess you could say was, once, always, but she understands the child psychology component and stuff in a different, in a more educated way than I do, right? And when we talked about it, when they started training with you, she's like, no, she would name techniques like, oh, there's this technique where you do this thing, and she's like, I saw her do it with Duke, or she explained it, and I'm like, okay, or I saw her do it with Dane or whatever, and so yeah, she was super impressed because she literally has had classrooms with kids with all these different needs, partially special ed, partially not. So
I think
you do amazing with the kids.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It definitely is different adapting from like training a 6 and a 10-year-old and then going to train, my Wednesday is like 6-10-year-olds, so your kids or 7 now, right? Then going to my other kids who are also siblings, so they're sisters who don't play sports, but they're, their dad was like, I need you to train them, so then they're like 11 and 16, and then my next client is, she's a 15-year-old, so it's also just adapting. And then my last person is like 42, so it's just adapting how people respond and are able to be receptive to what you're teaching them and stuff. So
there has to be a lot of similarities too, though.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been spending, probably too much time in the gym, but I watch the different trainers and the different clients and their interactions. And a lot of times the people don't want to train hard. They want to talk. They want a relationship, right? Yeah. And so it's probably different, but the mental part of it is still probably bigger than the physical part when you're training someone, unless they're higher level, right?
Yeah. So
I see these people, they're just like, and my dog and my husband and my wife. And I'm like, oh, they don't really want the smoke. No. They don't really want the smoke. They want, like, you spend the money, you feel like I made a decision, and then I watch the trainers and I'm like, oh, you guys are playing this really intense mental game. Yeah.
And a lot of that can be misconceived or, just looked at as like, oh, they're just talking. It's not just much training. But it's crazy. I mean, the more that relationship you build with a client, it goes a long way, with them dealing with stuff on the outside, someone who is seeking training, not as an athlete. There's so many things behind that, whether it's like weight gain or can't gain weight, or going through just an injury and then recovering. So there's so many different type of people I work with. So athletes wise, it's like maybe I would say like 50% are athletes. Let's say I have like 32 clients right now.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe like around there, right? 32. And then so, I mean, 50% of them are athletes and 50% aren't. Yeah. So, I'm working with people who are just recovering from injury, or weight loss clients. But the weight loss clients, usually there's more background, like more reasoning behind it, like what stress they're going through, things
divorce,
back home.
Just postpartum,
all
kinds of things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, just knowing and being so vulnerable, and kind of creating that safe space for people, and then of course putting them through a workout, which is hard for them physically. So, when you can build that relationship with them mentally, them doing things for you like physically is is easy for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is about like talking about, you know, what they're going through and stuff. Yeah. But
I see that for sure.
so that's the reason why I train people. It's like just to help people mentally and, you know, yeah.
So what's next for you? What's your 5-year plan?
Oh, 5-year plan. Well, right now I'm currently training to be like an AFD at UFC. So that's taking a lot more responsibility.
A what?
AFD. So it's like an assistant fitness director role.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, are you gonna?
Yeah. Yeah. We've all untold. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I just do well as a trainer, and then
Yeah.
you know, and now it's more about like leading people and guiding people in that direction.
Yeah.
I'm still like trying to figure out what I want to do. Like I've been looking at clinical psych programs to pursue. Like
how old are you? 27?
28.
28. Oh, you turned 28.
Yeah.
I think I told you. I think it's different for men and women, and whether you have kids or not. It can be different. Doesn't have to be. But we talked about like virtue versus money, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked with Jackie about that too. She's even younger. So like, there's certainly when you're younger, you're more virtuous. Like, I want to recycle, save the planet.
Yeah.
Whatever I have to do, whatever I'm doing has to have meaning. And that's still true for me today as well. Like I get satisfaction out of real estate, out of seeing Aiden grow and Mahe and all of these things, Kenny and Kenji, and I grow as well with them. And so there's still virtue, but there's nothing wrong with making some good money too, you know?
I agree.
And so but it can be hard because most jobs pay somewhere around the same, you know, between $60,000 to $120,000. And that's a big difference. Like 60 versus 120, huge difference. But like 80 versus 100, your life doesn't change. Like after taxes, your life doesn't change a ton. So yeah, I don't know. I just, when I'm able to talk to someone younger, I know where I was in my 20s and then how things kind of changed. And I'm happy I was able to start doing better. It takes some of those stresses off. But on the other hand, I'm like 25, 30 pounds heavier than I ever was before this recent grind and COVID. And I had to lose myself a little in the process. And so, you know, it's okay to go for the money. I think for Hawaii too, for Hawaii people, like we have this thought that aloha and ambition are kind of two things that don't belong together. And I don't think aloha and ambition are mutually exclusive. I think you can be full of aloha like you and also like pursue a really secure life, you know? So yeah, I don't know, maybe in the future if you ever want to talk about money.
Right now let's talk about no, I mean I'm 28, and then, you know, I had 4 years living away. I mean, I started playing at 24, and I knew that I was going to be experiencing life that other people haven't experienced before. And I knew coming back home was going to be sacrificing a lot. You know, I don't go out as much, and you know, I have 2 dogs of my own that I have just by myself, so I'm like a stay-at-home dog mom that just works. And you know, I have not been playing soccer at all because it just doesn't feel right after playing competitively for so long and just for fun now. And I don't know, I just haven't found happiness in playing right now, like just here without a purpose. And maybe I will find that again, but I mean, I'm sacrificing that, but also like not working out as much. I am working out for a different, you know, just to be healthy, and you know,
but you're not like competing in something fitness all the time.
After like doing the marathon and the UFC competition, that was just a lot of rush of adrenaline, you know, and it was just going hard for so long. So now I'm just kind of just taking it easy and, you know, just focusing on school. Like, yes, the sacrifice of like ambition and aloha, right? Like, so I stopped training people outside because it was so rewarding to do, but then it just didn't serve a purpose for me to grow in the way I needed to. I miss training kids outside, but also I needed to give that up in order to just keep my sanity, just because I missed soccer so much. And
so the 5-year plan, what are you going to school for?
So I'm looking at master's / PhD in clinical psychology.
Mm.
So that's one route. I do have a pre-med background in biology, human health science, and because I took a gap year, I am either considering to go into master's of biomedical sciences, just to build on top of that, and then that's another pathway I could go to and go to med school. But I mean, all of this is so hard because just adulting. So I have two paths that I know that I will get there one day.
Yeah.
But I'm just in the process of figuring out exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
But now,
adulting's
mm-hmm.
Aiden is the oldest 22-year-old I know. He's like the most mature.
Oh, he's only 22. Yeah, he's like.
Did you think
mentally?
He was 22?
I thought he was older mentally, not because he looks older, but mentally, like
he's just so mature, and so
yeah.
I wish I was like him at 22. Yeah. But I really don't feel like I started adulting till like 35, maybe.
That has been the number 35 that a lot of people have been telling me, like 35 is where I started my life. Well, like
somewhere around there,
like 32, 35. I'm like, okay, I have time.
The big epiphany for me. Well, when we had Dane, so Dane is, 7 now. Mm-hmm. Dane is 7 now, and so I guess about 8 years ago, when I knew we had another baby coming, I hit this like crazy work mode. Like, I almost like worked myself into Stanford ER. Yeah. This one of my coworkers told me, we need to wheel you down to ER. And I was like, no, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Like, you're blue, you're working to breathe. I'm like, no, I'll be fine. I was working so much, both at my job and then going to school, Coast Guard Reserve. I owned a business that I was selling. Mm-hmm. And so I hit this insane work mode. But I did so that was like one thing is like, I found a gear that I didn't know I had to work for money and provide. Mm-hmm. It wasn't healthy though. And then around 35, the big epiphany was 34, 35. The big epiphany was I realized I'm not a good employee. Yeah. I realized that clocking in, clocking out, existing in an office environment, office politics, diplomacy, like not my strong suits. Mm-hmm. And the first real estate mentor I really found, he's like, what are your weaknesses? And I was like, well, I'm dominant, don't play well in the sandbox at work and all these things. And he was like, none of those are weaknesses. I was like, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. And he's like, look at business, look at entrepreneurs, look at real estate people, all the successful people are like that. So those aren't weaknesses. You have them, but you got to rethink what they are. Mm-hmm. And that super changed things. That was around 35. Yeah. And I've never had a job again since, Yeah. Yeah.
You kind of just like done your own thing.
Yeah. And I always will. Like, I'd rather work 16 hours for myself than 8 hours for someone else, Yeah. But yeah, so the point being is I think 35 for a lot of men, not many people figure it out in their 20s, I think.
No. Especially men. No, I'm just kidding.
Especially men, right? Yeah. And whatever they decide to do, even if someone's doing well in their 20s, at least for a lot of men, they end up changing it in their 30s too. Even if it's too successful, financially successful things, they'll end up changing.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know a lot of feedback that I have gotten, like, from working in the gym or even by myself, is like you should be running something. Like you're worth more than what you're doing now, and like that's the most feedback that I've gotten. And I know that I eventually, if I pursue clinical psychology route, like I do want to open a practice and hopefully work in an academy where it's working with youth, or people working at athletes working in athletes in the academy. I want to work with them as a psychologist. So that's kind of like what I want to do, and I know I will get there. So right now I'm like, I am 28 and I feel like I have so much more to grow, so I like rather be an employee right now, but I know that I can be somewhere else. So I'm kind of like,
well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, my wife chose to go back to work. She didn't have to. She could work with me, but she's like, I don't like open-endedness. She's like, I want to know when I start, when I finish. I want to know what the tasks are. I don't want to have to create money out of thin air. Like just give me a job. So I don't think that being an employee is bad for you. It's bad for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I know that I'm in that in between. I mean, as
Yeah.
a trainer, I create my own hours and like I create my own business and stuff, but it's through a facility, you know, like under
Yeah.
someone. So I think I like, I don't like, I mean, I like being in there
Yeah.
and stuff, but I know I'm like half in and half out of what between you and then your wife, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I'm just in that period where I'm like figuring it out.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You're not so crazy that you can't exist in a job environment, and you're
Yeah.
not so stuck that you'll never be able to try anything else.
No, yeah. I mean, I do like working at UFC. I think the people that I interact with, there's so many interesting people, like in the best way. There's so much guidance. Like one of my clients just connected me to a you know, someone in the psychology field, and I was able to reach out for mentorship. You know, like like I work with so many awesome people and meet awesome people too.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of cool people, and just in the last couple of months, I started meeting cool people in the gym. Like people that we've all seen each other for a year, and then someone will say hi to, or you know, start talking. There's also some characters in the gym.
A lot of characters. A lot of
Everybody
characters.
is characters.
Nah. A lot of characters.
Yeah, there's some characters too. Guys slamming weights and yelling and doing weird stuff with machines.
Yeah.
That's got to be, as a trainer, that's got to be a interesting thing to experience every day.
It's never boring. It's never boring. So I'm very happy about that.
What are you guys told? Like, let's say someone's on like doing something weird on a machine, or like stacking 10 weights on a thing and chalking up the 45s and doing just weird things. Like, are you guys supposed to say anything? Is there any talk about how to like navigate the gym? You
know, I think it's different as a woman trainer and like a trainer who's a man. There is these sorry to at you again. There are these two guys who were lifting so wrong and terribly, and I went up to them and I was like, I was in my workout clothes, I was working out, but I went up to them and I really hesitated just because I expected that reaction. Like I went up to them, I was like, hey, I don't mean to like interrupt your workout. Like I am a coach here. I was wondering like if you needed, you know, like a little help with your form, because I overheard you guys, they're close to me and they were talking loud. They were doing it and was like, my back hurts so bad. And the friend was like, no, they were doing like rows.
Oh.
That's way heavier weights than they should have been on like a landmine, you know, and like I could have easily corrected one part of it. But I could hear the conversation. He said, my back hurts so bad when I'm doing this. And the friend was like, no, you're fine. Like, you know, and then his friend was also lifting pretty badly. And it was a simple fix, you know. I was just like, I'm a coach here. Like, I was wondering if you just wanted like a little tip. I noticed you said your back hurts. And then the friend looks at me like this whole time, not responsive. And I was like looking at him like, I don't mean to overstep. Like, you know, especially because I'm a girl. And the fact that I had to say that, you know.
You said that?
Yeah, like I know it's weird like coming from a girl, but you know, I'm a coach here. And then you know, it's just the reactions that I get. Sometimes I don't even bother.
So you guys don't, I know you can't bother because you'd have to deal with that every day. Yeah. You have to have these weird conversations every day. Some people reject it. Yeah, sometimes
So most of the times when I do say things, people will get like why is this Karen telling me? You know, like, so I try not to overstep.
If it's like Zion or
usually they'll respect.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? Pick and choose your battles, right? I'm just like, you're not going to affect my day.
There's one or two people that every time are slamming weights and like even like, you know, like weights on a machine on the cable.
Oh, machine weights, my goodness.
Like slamming or there's a person who a lot of times finds like a main walkway to do like a circuit in. And,
I know. Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, what you doing?
You'll be surprised about people's lack of spatial awareness at that gym.
Gym's interesting.
It's interesting to work in, but it's interesting.
You cannot say nothing.
No.
Well, who would you, as we wrap it up, who would you want to give a shout out to? you're saying like your dad pushed you,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes even seemed like too much, but also you're happy that he never let you quit.
Yes, Dad. It was
Begrudgingly
a
give him his flowers.
yeah. No, you know, a lot of people who do know me and stuff, like my family members and friends, they know the relationship between me and my dad is like not the most perfect, but he was always there in need, you know, like the first time I ever cried in college sports, he was like, "Do you want me to fly up and yell at them?" You know, like
Yeah.
I mean, I've had so many interactions with my dad that wasn't the best, especially with sports. But you know, at the end of the day, he always pushed me into the right direction. So
Yeah.
I think if I didn't have that push and like someone to push me basically to stick with the sport and you know stick with it, I don't think that I would have lasted that long. I think I would have found it eventually on my own, but no, I mean, I think I owe a lot to him, and
Yeah.
the relationship, like you said, between a parent and a kid, there wasn't that huge divide because he was also my coach for
It's
you know
tough.
my whole life. But
That can be tough.
yeah, you know, at 13 years old, I told him like I need you to stop being my coach, and you know he respected that and gave me space, but still pushed me and stuff. So yeah, shout out to you and my family and everything.
What I know for sure is that there's this paternal love that that parents want to do their best and they screw it up 100%. Every parent. They want to do their best and they screw it up. And as the older we get become more accepting of that. And then you start taking care of your parents, right? Because then they no longer have the strength and the vigor. They're not the figure that they were for you, and then you take care of them. And it becomes even more evident, like, oh wow, they really did want to do their best, but they're just a baby that grew up, and their parents screwed up on them too. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but your grandparents, they hooked you up a lot too. Shout outs to them.
Yeah. Both grandparents, but my dad's parents, the one that I lived with, they pushed me in the right direction with school. They supported me showing up to my games in college and driving me to where I needed to in the summers and everything. You know, my grandma, even when she was sick, she told me, don't stay back home. You should go and live in Europe and play soccer. You know, FaceTimed her a lot, even when she was, you know, in bed, and it was the hardest to be away from her. But, you know, it was with age too, with me, like, when am I ever going to do this ever again?
Yeah. That's hard for a grandparent because they want you to be close to them. So for them to say, yeah, go leave, that's very, that's cool.
Yeah. So living with them, I just never regretted.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. All right. Last question to wrap us up. What would you say to Hawaii kids, Hawaii people who either do want to do something big, like be a professional athlete and succeed in their sport or their field or their endeavor, and or the people who don't even have that ambition and confidence because it just was never presented as an option or a model for them, you know, like, what would you say to people who want to go do big things?
Yeah, so that's kind of the reason why I came back home and started coaching the youth and kids in specific, and also just girls in general. Don't limit yourself to anything you're doing, you know, whether that's with the school, with volunteer work, or, you know, sports, or with family too. But I wanted to just like try to expose others to who have that dream of going somewhere else. Like, I have a few girls I coach who want to go play in Europe one day as well. Like, you should try to pursue that, and don't limit yourself to just playing college in Hawaii. If you want to live here forever, that's fine, that's great. But also, there's so much more out there for you, like whether it's the mainland, Europe, England, Asia. Oh my gosh, I have so much friends playing all over the world, and I think it's so amazing. Hawaii will always be here. So yeah,
it's always here. Not a lot changes when you come home.
No,
it's still special and cool. And where, if people wanted to reach out to you to train or follow you, is there any?
At Train with Bree on Instagram.
At Train with Bree. BRI. All right. Thanks.
Thank you
for doing a podcast with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Hello, everyone.
Bye.